Indianapolis, the racing capital of the world. Since 1909, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway has been the undisputed pinnacle of the racing world. This is the place where legends are made and hearts are broken. This is the one race everyone wants to win. For the first time in its 54-year history, the SCCA National Championship Runoffs travels to Indianapolis. With nearly 1,000 entries in 28 different classes, the Runoffs is the biggest auto race in the world. It features the best amateur drivers in the country vying for the title of national champion. One legendary track, one epic race, one shot at glory. The SCCA Runoffs starts now.
And good morning from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We welcome you live to coverage of the 2017 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. First time ever from Indy. He's Dorsey Schrader, I'm Rick Benjamin. Hayward Wagner will have our coverage all day long, as always, on pit road. Getting set to go. We've got our first couple of races this morning. Glad to have you with us. Breakfast at Indy, you might call this one today. GT3 will be first up, followed by one of our combination events. We'll see a little bit later on. We've got Formula C coming up for you, and we'll have, along with the FC cars, we'll have Formula Mazda. So we'll have two categories in race number 2 here this morning. Great first day of action yesterday. At Dorsey, we talked a lot about this racetrack, 2.6 miles, 14 turns, and some really interesting competition yesterday.
Had great competition. We had a very caution-free type of event. I mean, it was really, really well run. Huge number of cars. You know, that field we did yesterday, 72 cars, and all went well. So very impressive first day. The weather here, crisp this morning, I'd call it. Probably in the 60s, low 60s, high 50s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, definitely cooler weather this morning than we had earlier. They say it's going to warm back up here
on
in
Monday.
Indiana next week.
Yeah,
so
back to 90 again.
Yeah.
That's when we got here it was 90, then it dropped into the low, pleasant 70s.
So it'll be an interesting couple of weather days, but no threat of rain, no issue with anybody needing rain tires here. Slicks will be the order of the day, and we look forward to some great racing here in GT3. 17 cars are scheduled to roll out for this one in just a couple of moments, and a really interesting field, some great competition here. A couple of years ago, we watched Joe Christensen from Ontario and Canada, his Christensen Racing Engines Acura RSX whip everybody at Daytona, but last year had problems and was not able to repeat, and we'll see what happens. He's on the outside pole alongside Colin Jackson, another one of our Canadian competitors from British Columbia. That's a Nissan 240X. You've got some RX-7s, some Toyotas in the field, a Ford Probe back there, a Miata. So a really diverse field of entries in GT3.
Colin Jackson smoked him in qualifying, over 3 seconds clear of second place.
Yeah.
So on paper, you would think a runaway, but you can't tell. The runoffs, well, they'll get you.
Yeah, they will. And we talked about this a little bit here yesterday. You see cases occasionally in these SCCA runoffs, not just this year, where you'll have drivers come in and because they're able to rip off one great lap in qualifying, and it's group qualifying, you may have trouble replicating that in the race. Your pace in the race can be a lot different from what we see on the timesheet.
And we've had a vast degrees of grip on the infield due to the weather. That the first couple of days of qualifying were in the 90s, and then that last day of qualifying in the 70s produced a lot of grip, and not all these guys are able to, engineer the car, let's put it that way, or change the car around drastically enough to accommodate a weather change like that.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of things to talk about, and we'll be with you, of course, throughout the day here. Dorsey and I will be at the back end of the day as well. We'll have 3 events for you to wrap things up here on Saturday, day 2 of competition at the 54th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. So cars on the pre-grid right now, and the opening ceremony is taking place with our national anthem being played and sung for the crowd gathered here today at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs at Indy. Endorse hearing that next year the runoffs will be at Sonoma Raceway, Northern California, where you just were with Pirelli World Challenge a couple of weeks ago. We were there with IndyCar and PWC. That'll be a great venue. But for teams and drivers, nearly 1,000 entries total. Everyone wanted to come and say, we raced at Indy.
Absolutely. Then this is the biggest runoffs. It's the biggest race ever held. 938 cars, I think. There were over 1,000 that came. Not all of them had, you had to qualify to get in. That's something new for the runoffs as well.
Exactly. So a lot to talk about once again, and certainly it'll be a fun day here. Getting started this early, the sun just started to get daylight here a short time ago.
Yeah, it's cold out there, too.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a concern on the first couple laps with these guys in tire temperatures.
Yeah, and the track may be a little bit damp. You may have a little bit of dew in some places.
Absolutely.
Here.
There was quite a bit of dew this morning, and I got my pit bike. Luckily, I looked before I sat.
You need a towel sometimes on the golf cart seats too. Here, no question about that. So a lot of interesting things yesterday, and some great competition in the classes. We were able to bring you coverage of Greg Creamer. Jeff Lepper will join you a little bit later on today. We had the privilege of calling Spec Racer Ford and Spec Miata right after that with 72 cars, and we've got big entries in Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 also coming up later this weekend.
That'll be a really good race, I would suspect. We had good races all through the first day. Some really good stuff.
Yeah. So Greg and Jeff will have e-production for you later this morning at 10:40 Eastern, Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. And then they'll continue with Super Touring Light at 1:30. We'll pick it back up at 2:35 this afternoon with American Sedan. One of my favorite classes in this.
Yeah, that's the big bore stuff. And everybody loves the big old sound of the V8. And those guys will be slinging them around here pretty good, I'm sure.
We'll have Touring 2 for you. Jeff is racing in that event. We've got, one of the things that makes this so much fun is you and I know a lot of people, and as do Greg and Jeff in this sport, and you've got some names running here. Steve Oseth, the president of SCCA Pro Racing, went racing yesterday in Formula F and did a nice job. Came home 7th in that field.
That's a really good job by Steve. I saw him just briefly. He was busy. I was going one way, he was going the other, and we worked together a couple years ago, back when he was when Pirelli was with SCCA, and so I know Steve pretty well.
Yeah.
He's an older guy. For a 7th place in F. Yeah, that's a really good accomplishment.
Talked about this yesterday on our coverage a couple of times. All year long, I'd hear from people in all branches of the sport, really, who have a history of racing in SCCA competition, amateur competition, would say, hey, to run at Indy, I'm getting my car back out of mothballs, and I'm going to get my license back and go and run some races and qualify for the runoff. Steve was one of those guys. He hadn't raced in years and decided he was going to come and run to have this opportunity to race here. All right, we will be back. Our coverage will return in just a moment here from Indy. And we welcome you to our coverage of the 2017 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. GT3 about to take to the track here. Should be a terrific run today. I'm Rick Benjamin. Dorsey Schrader is alongside Hayward Wagner with our coverage on pit road, and our entire crew bringing you the action here all weekend long. Glad to have you with us for what should be a terrific battle in GT3 with 17 cars scheduled to start. Dorsey, 2.6 miles around this place, just a shade under 2.6, 14 corners. Couple of very long straightaways here. Let's take a look at our track map presented by Mazda.
Well, as you say, one of the longest straightaways any of these cars will ever run at, 3,700 feet. You also come onto that straightaway at a pretty high rate of speed. Turn 1, on the other hand, incredibly tight, and there's an apex curbing down there that is so tall it'll turn you up on your side if you hit it, so you want to stay off of that. Complex end of the racetrack, turn 1 through 6. That first segment has a lot of really, really tight corners in it, leading onto the infield back straightaway, and that's a good passing position into 1 and into 7. Now the second segment is from 7 all the way onto the back loop, if you will, and that's the S's. We call them the S's back there, and it's pretty high speed. It's third gear all the way up through there. You gain speed through turn 10, and you try to keep your momentum up as you go through 12, 13. Of course, that's leading you onto that 3,700 foot back straight or front straight. And in third gear, you're probably already in the 80 or 90 mile per hour range when you get onto that straightaway.
And these GT3 cars are pretty quick in qualifying. We saw a lot of action yesterday with cars that were running around a 2-minute lap, minute 55 to maybe a little over 2 minutes around this place. Well, here you've got cars that are capable of running 145.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier on, we were talking about Colin Jackson, who's our pole sitter, has a huge gap to second place, some 3 seconds. But don't let that dictate that he'll run away. He won't necessarily run away because each day of the qualifying was different weather, and he might have hit the perfect setup on the right day, and other guys might have already, used up their allotment of tires or whatever on the first days, which weren't as quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a lot of storylines to talk about here as we take a look at the GT3 field lined up on the pre-grid, ready to roll out behind the safety car. We'll have one pace lap, and we'll go green. And before we get started, let's welcome to the broadcast our third member of our coverage team, the hardest working man in show business again this year, our pal Hayward Wagner.
Good morning, gentlemen. I was just talking with some of the engineers from Hoosier Race Tire. Asked him how many laps is it going to take to get to full temperature with these tires. Thought for a second, said probably a lap and a half, and then came back with it definitely won't be up to temperature on the pace lap. So turn one on this race might be a little sketchy for these guys. You also were talking about racers who maybe stepped away for a little while and came back specifically for this venue. Great example of that is Jeff Barros driving the Acura in this field. Jeff is with Honda Performance Development, spends most of his career making racing available to Honda Performance Racing customers. He decided he was going to jump in on this one. They broke the differential on Thursday. It has been a scrap to get that car back together. I don't even want to think about what they've spent in overnight air freight shipping, but it's a very custom piece in the rear end of that car, back together, and he's on the grid.
Yeah, good to have Jeff out there. I was going to talk about him as well. Thank you, Hayward. Jeff's the guy that we deal with in our Honda television work extensively, of course, and a dear friend of many years standing. The Christensen crew actually drove back to Ontario, 13 hours one way, to get a spare diff and bring it back here, put it in that car, and get Jeff out on the racetrack this morning. And he will start in the 11th spot here in our GT3 field.
I remember those days. I actually raced here at IRP, the other Indianapolis racetrack down the street, broke a distributor gear, and ended up having to drive back to, luckily for me, I was living in St. Louis, so it was only a 4.5 hour drive. But to go back to Ontario, that's a different deal.
That's full-on commitment, and that's the kind of commitment that so many teams and drivers and entrants in the SCCA Runoffs paddock have. You do this for the love of the sport. We talked about this a lot yesterday, and you certainly see that throughout this. One thing that'll be different here as we take a look at our starting lineup at the top of your screen. You keep up with the running order there all day long, of course, through the scoring strip at the top of the screen here. We had some races yesterday, Doris, you and I called some events where the entry grid was huge. We had 72 cars in Spec Miata. They went 4 and 5 wide down the front straightaway, drivers knowing the place to get some work done here and make some moves is on the start. Here you've got 17, so we won't see that.
We'll probably get 5 wide, though, because, this racetrack is so wide, and then turn one's a sucker corner. You go in there, and you have this huge expanse of the front straightaway of Indy, and then turn one funnels you down to where 2 guys can go through there only at a time, but they don't always get that right. Yeah,
that can be the case. No doubt about it. All right, your starting lineup, Colin Jackson from Langley, British Columbia, on pole in the 53 car. That's a Nissan 240X alongside Joe Christensen. We talked about him earlier. Former champion in this category, the 14 car. That's an Acura RSX, the Christensen Racing Engines machine. Jeff Danel of Roswell, Georgia in the 71 lines up third. That's a Mazda RX-7. Rob Morkaki from Frankfort, Illinois in another Mazda RX-7, the 78 car. He will start fourth. Third row, Stacy Wilson on the inside from Englewood, Tennessee in the 41 car. That's an RX-7 Mazda with Hoosier tires. Starting on the outside of row 3, Wolfgang Malke from Santa Barbara, California, and a Toyota Paseo with Toyota TRD backing. That is the 15 car. Chad Bacon starts 7th. He's from Mooresville, North Carolina, the heart of NASCAR country. The CB Motorsports Toyota Celica. And starting 8th, the 79, Paul Young from Commerce Township, Michigan. The Young Racing Ford Probe. And Paul's been at this in GT3 for a good number of years as well. Starting 9th, James Ash from Prospect, Connecticut. The Spectra Oils Mazda RX-7, the 21 car. Bill McGavick from Arcadia, Florida starts 10th in the 69. The No Money Performance Special, the Mazda RX-7 for McGavick. Jeff Barrow racing out of Acton, California now in the 04 car, the HPD Acura RSX. That's one of the Christensen Racing cars. Starting 12th in the 122, John Mills from Fostoria, Ohio, the Racer Parts Wholesale Mazda Miata. Ken Nelson starts 13th in the 91. He is from Michigan in a Hoosier Tire Nissan 200 SX. Rob Ricker will start 14th in the 06. The Toyota Blue Ridge Raceworks Toyota Celica. Field coming out of the final corner, 17 GT3 cars. Christensen on the outside. Your pole starter on the inside is Colin Jackson. Glad to have you with us. Race number 1 on Saturday. We're underway at Indy.
Saw some moisture back in the last corner coming on the straightaway. We'll have to watch out on lap 1 as they come down the straight down to turn 1.
Jackson in the blue car taking the early lead. On the outside in that 15 car, Wolfgang Mikey trying to make a move. Brake lock up there.
And that I thought that moisture was coming off the track. I don't think it is. The 14 car, I think, has a substantial leak. I was watching it as he got ready for turn 1, and I could see it coming out the back of the car, and he locked up instantly. So I think water or possibly oil, we'll see, but it certainly looks suspect.
Quick short straightaway as you start into the infield section here. There's the 71 of Jeff Durnell. That's one of the Mazdas in the field. He started in 4th position. He's on the move here in the early going.
Looks good now.
Jackson up front, your pole sitter, an early leader in the 53. Christensen settling into 2nd spot in the 14.
Could have just been fuel overflow. I was seeing something like that.
Could have been.
Outlap.
Wolfgang Malky there in the 15 car, settling into 5th. In front of Wilson in the 41. There's the 71 car of Durnell.
Good looking car.
It is. Those RX-7s, the latest generation of these cars. I mean, I say latest generation, 20-some years ago now.
Right, yeah.
But they're still good-looking race cars.
Ooh, we got
the
one
79.
in the gravel trap, yeah.
Yeah, in some trouble here, deeper in the field.
And
the 79
like
of Paul Young.
He wasn't the only one.
No, one of the Mazdas involved as well. Young not far off the racetrack, so this could at least bring out certainly a local yellow. That's the Ford Probe in the field. We talked about Young having done this for a long time here.
And I'll tell you what, these guys at Indianapolis Motor Speedway are on top of the game. When it comes to that truck was there instantly, and they'll have him out of that gravel trap and probably won't have to go but 1 lap at a local yellow only.
We stay green on the front straightaway. It's Jackson, your leader. Christensen in the red car there is in 2nd. Warkaki dropping back to 4th. Stacy Wilson has moved into 3rd spot now. Jeff Durnell actually moving into 3rd spot. Wilson is 4th. Malky is 5th. Bacon is 6th. John Mills is 7th. Jeff Barrow up to 8th in the other Christensen Acura. And a pass for position down into the corner. The 15 car gives up a spot to Chad Bacon's machine.
These are highly modified cars, silhouette bodies, so they look like the street counterpart. But underneath that body is a full-on tube-frame race car.
And very lightweight cars. I mean, some of these cars weigh, what, 1,400 pounds. So
and highly modified engines. Those engines are full race tuned, you know, as much as you can get out of them.
Safety crew right there to try to get Paul Young's Ford Probe out of harm's way. He's in the kitty litter right off course as the field ducks up onto the backstretch for lap number 2. Christensen in the 14 car in 2nd spot behind Jackson. The 71 of Durnell in 3rd. The 41 of Wilson and Wolfgang Mikey in the 15 car. That's your top 5. There's your 3rd place car of Durnell. The 18 on the move. Chad Bacon sitting there in 6th position, trying to chase down the 41 of Wilson. And he goes offline. Yeah, he's got a Toyota's got a problem there.
Something just broke, and he knew it. He felt it, and he moved the car offline to get, in case oil came out or whatever. Good maneuver. Leave the racetrack good for the rest of the competitors if you feel something going right bad like that. He's still going along.
Durnell in the 71, Wilson in the 41. That's a fight for 3rd spot right now, as these cars move through the back section of the infield, heading to the front straightaway here at Indy.
High RPM, you can hear those engines singing up that big front straightaway, pushing probably 8,000 to 9,000 RPM in some of these engines.
Colin Jackson continues to lead a little further back. The 91 of Ken Nelson and the 7 of Ray Stevenson. This is a fight for 10th spot now.
Equally matched through the infield.
Up onto the front straightaway.
Back in the back to that last car, that's an old Volvo P1800. A car that was ahead of its time, if you will, in design back in the day. That car from the 60s, I would say.
Yep, Sam Moore races out of Kannapolis, North Carolina, and that machine, that's the 66 Select Volvos.com machine. He qualified 16th in the field, moving up to 12th here. Some attrition in the early laps.
Brake lock up there, getting into the corner. These corners are at very low grip. The surface here at Indianapolis is really flat, and it doesn't offer up a lot of grip. You would think, though, as cool as it is this morning, that there would be, and the track's been swept. Now, by the end of the day, not so much. There's going to be a lot of debris out there after all these classes run.
Yeah, that was one of the issues at the end of the day yesterday as we watched this fight between the 7 of Stevenson, now the 78 of Rob Warkaki for position.
Rob Borkaki has been running this class a long time. A lot of these guys, actually,
Yeah.
not just Rob.
Yeah, these are, as you mentioned, Dorsey, these are purpose-built race cars. You're committed to this sport if you've got one of these.
Yeah, that you can't use it for anything but one thing only, racing.
John Mills there in the 122. Jeff Barrow right behind him in the 04. That's 6th, 7th, and 8th on the racetrack.
Not a lot of drafting going on. Oh, that's a big tire lock up on the right front. That
Mills.
will be a square tire now if it wasn't before.
Mills in that 122, a Mazda Miata with a big roll cage and a big wing on the back of that thing.
You break it at diagonal, coming off that. No, that's not. That could be tire rub, because I just saw right there, and that wasn't under braking either. You come off of this banking in the front straightaway, and you turn down into the infield, and you're coming across the grain of the banking. So the chassis is unloaded on the one side. It's so easy to lock that unloaded tire up and drag it. Like I thought that's what happened last time, but not sure.
Fight here for 6th, 7th, and 8th down into turn 1. Barrow gives up 7th spot to the 69 of Bill McGavick. That's one of the Mazda RX-7s in the field.
This configuration of the racetrack was the original Formula One configuration. They've run several different variations of that infield, depending on what year and what class is run here. Like the Trans Am that you work with all the time, they run a different course.
Yeah, exactly. Slightly different at that end, at the turn 1 end. If you look at the overhead shot that you can see when we bring the cars down the front straightaway, there are 2 different versions of the right-hand turn 1 there, and,
Yes.
and we're using the very tight one. You talked about the curbing and how it's kind of off camera to throw the car sideways there.
You know, and what we've seen when they started building these infields for Formula One cars specific, and COTA is the other track that I'm referring to, is that they make some corners that are so tight that only a Formula One car with its grip level is able to make that.
Yeah.
You know, regular street car, you just got to stop them to make a corner like that.
Yeah. Barrow in the 04, that black Acura, that's out of the Christensen shops, and as we mentioned, Jeff in charge of commercial motorsports at Honda Performance Development out in California, and takes care of a lot of the Honda and Acura teams that are here to compete this weekend. More than 100 Honda and Acura teams in the overall 950 car field here at the Runoffs this season. Up front, meantime, no change. Colin Jackson in the 53 after qualifying on pole in that 240SX. He has scooted away, opened up a nearly 4-second lead over Joe Christensen's machine.
It's funny, when you look at professional racing, sports car racing, it's Porsche that has the numbers of cars over everybody else. But when you get to amateur level, Honda and Mazda rule the world when it comes to amateur motorsport.
And we certainly want to give a shout out to our friends at Nissan as well. They've got a big contingent of Nissan entries, and all 3 of those brands have big tents, and they're providing lunches and things like that. It's just a way that the manufacturers support amateur racing, grassroots racing. And, you know, in our work with Honda, it's a big deal. The grassroots effort that's put forth is huge. And, you know, in Honda's case, everything from quarter midgets and go-karts on up to the top levels.
When I raced it, Nissan was a Datsun.
Yeah.
But we still, even back then, had a tent. And in that tent, when you'd come to the runoffs, you had a place in that tent. Anything you needed that they had on their parts truck was for free.
Yeah.
If you blew up a cylinder head and they had a cylinder head, you could go over there and request it, and they would give it to you. I'm talking those thousands of dollars.
Well, in this case, I don't know that still happens much,
No,
what Honda does, and I'm certain it's the same for Mazda and for Nissan, they provide engineering support here. You know, back then engineers didn't come to racetracks as a general rule, but now this is such an engineering-driven sport as the science of racing has gotten a lot more sophisticated over the last 20 years or so, and that's a big deal. You know, to bring HPD engineers here to help these teams figure things out, and set up, you know, maybe tune engines a little differently, that kind of thing, and it produces results. And all the OEMs want to be able to say, hey, we won 5 national championships.
Absolutely,
whatever the number is.
And anything that you need help with, they're there to help you. If the competitors themselves wouldn't, of course they would.
Yeah.
If your car breaks, the people on either side of you are immediately there asking if somebody spun here the 7.
Yeah, the 7 of Ray Stevenson running 11th in that RX-7. He's gone around. He'll gather it back up.
No
Not
damage.
Facing traffic. Yeah, he'll get that car fired back up again.
There's that Volvo.
The 66 car we were talking about, the car of Sam Moore out of North Carolina, getting by for position. So Stevenson loses a couple of spots here. And we talked about this yesterday, Doris, especially in these classes that have huge numbers of cars, to be able to say you bagged the top 10 at Indy. I mean, how cool is that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's upper 7% in some of these classes.
That's right. Absolutely the case. The 71 car of Jeff Durnell That's a machine that's running in third spot right now, and right behind him, Stacy Wilson and that other Mazda, the 41, different generation of Mazda, but they're right there in the fight for position for third and fourth.
These guys having a good scrap all race long.
Durnell and Wilson third and fourth here. Wolfgang Mikey in fifth spot in the 15, but they have pulled away from Mikey now, and we watch this fight taking shape through some of the infield sections heading toward the short chute here. Of course, you're backwards on that short straightaway coming toward oval turn 1. Down the backstretch, good battle for position here as well. We've got the 78 car.
A piece of debris, but laying out there for the entire race. It's kind of offline, so they're letting it go.
Rob Warkaki in that machine. He's got a little bit of an advantage. Jeff Barrow in the 04 next in line in terms of scoring as we were working lap number 6 of 19 here today. Jim Ash in the 21, Sam Moore in the 66 next in line, and a couple of slower cars in the mix there as well, and some smoke showing out the back end of the 69 car.
That doesn't look good. It's off the left rear of the car. I don't know if that's tire rub. It could have been tire rub.
Bill McGavick wheeling that Mazda.
I don't think these guys got together at all, so I don't know why it would start rubbing now.
That's a rotary-powered Mazda, of course, as is the car in front of it, the 78 machine. Warkaki and McGavick. McGavick had been scored in 6th, but I think he has fallen off the pace here a little bit. We'll see as they come by start-finish. We'll get an update on timing and scoring. Colin Jackson continuing to lead. McGavick still shown in 6th spot there in the 69. Warkaki in the 78's been on the move. He's up to 5th now.
That's definitely left rear tire smoke, and that, I don't know if, like I say, for it to start doing that on its own is not a good sign. That's usually something's coming loose back there or has come loose. There's some kind of movement where there's a clearance issue that wasn't there, and now it's locking the right front.
Warkaki, though, not being slowed down much by that in the 78 car. He's shown 5th. McGavick here is 6th in the 69. The 122 of Mills, the open-top Miata, he is in 7th spot. And Jeff Barrow and the other Acura Integra running 8th now in that black 04 machine.
Well, since we don't have smell-o-vision, I can't say for sure what that is. It could be a rear gear, you know, rear axle seal.
Yeah.
If you could smell it, you'd know, whether it's rubber or rear lube.
The 122 of Mills smelling some blood in the water here.
Yeah,
Here comes
absolutely.
Barrow and the Acura getting going again, too. So 6th, 7th, and 8th very much in play. Mills takes a look to the inside in the 122.
A little sloppy, that look. I don't think he really had his heart in it. One thing for sure, one of the senses you use as a race car driver is the sense of smell.
Yeah.
And you can most definitely pick up on things that are occurring.
That's how you know if they've got a brake issue a lot of times.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, you don't know that you're using that sense until you get into something where it doesn't, you don't have that sense available anymore.
The 122 of Mills pouncing here for 6th.
I think that's oil coming out of the center of the wheel hub.
Well, I was going to say, in the 69 being a rotary engine, when you see smoke, I mean, that tells you a lot of other things could be going wrong, too.
Yeah,
So.
the rotary engines, they don't smoke first. They don't hardly ever do one of those things stop running, but when they do, they stop completely. They don't blow up like a traditional piston engine.
No.
They just seize up.
They do not. They do not. The 141 of George Walker running 13th in that open-topped machine there. Pressure on Mills from the 69 car of McGavick, 6th in play. Jeff Barrow sitting back there in 8th spot. Looks like that car has settled down a little bit now. McGavick's machine, the 69, not showing that smoke these last couple of turns, as these three will lap by or try to the 141 of Walker.
The bad news about not smoking, if it's oil related, it means that you're out of oil.
Barrow shouldering by the 69 car. Big move from Jeff Barrow and the Acura there. Nice move.
I think the 69's in trouble. It just did smoke some more and it's starting to fall back now. Mechanical issue, whatever it might be, is starting to show its head.
So Barrow moves up a spot. The 69 car of McGavick gets shuffled back to 8th. Up to 6th is Mills in the 122. And we'll see now if Barrow is going to be able to work on him. Here's another look at that pass.
Well set up pass.
Barrow saw an opening there and was able to just fire right into it
they
and
were
close the door.
lapping through a car, and the first car hesitated a little bit, and the second car pounced.
The old saying, he who hesitates is lost, is never more true than on a racetrack. That's for sure.
You catch those guys, and if you're not 100% sure that they know you're there, and if you hesitate, the guy behind it very rarely will.
Mills in the 122 doing a very nice job, gunning for a top 5. We talked about how cool it is to get a top 10 here. Top 5 even more valuable to these drivers and teams, and Mills maybe with a shot at it. Rob Warkaki sitting 5th right now in the 78 car. Hayward Wagner, what's going on pit road?
Guys, if you look over my shoulder down the pit lane, Joe Christensen's Acura sitting against the pit wall. He had a wheel bearing failure that has taken him out of this race. Everybody's here having a good time. This is all for fun, but Joe, very few words, very frustrated. They never felt like they got the car dialed in here, and then just as he was starting to get a little bit of comfort, a mechanical issue takes him out of the race.
Tough break indeed for Joe Christensen out of Canada. He, of course, the team owner for Jeff Barrow's 04 car. We told the story a few moments ago about how, because the rear end had broken in the 04 earlier in the week, Joe and his wife drove back to the race shop 13 hours one way to get a replacement for that machine so that Jeff Barrow could take the green flag here today in the 04. And he right now is sitting in 7th, but with the retirement of Joe Christensen, that could change things for that race team. So Colin Jackson continues to lead. Jeff Durnell in the 71 moves to 2nd spot now, and the gap is 25 seconds. Jackson, talk about having him covered. Colin Jackson's got it going, all going on here today.
Yeah, he smoked him in qualifying, so, you got to look at that time and know that the speed's in the car. You just don't know what the circumstances of the race are going to play out. For Jeff Durnell, though, this is a great accomplishment for him now up to 2nd place. And he's only one miscue away, You're still within the realm of being able to win this, even though he's 20-something seconds back.
And while we were away talking to Hayward, getting that update on Joe Christensen, his team car, the 04, driven by Barrow, has moved by John Mills up to 6th now. So Jeff Barrow could be zeroing in on a top 5. Probably needs a full course yellow because he is behind Rob Warkaki by about 6 seconds now. But a good drive for Jeff Barrow, who's settling into that car. And again, another guy who said, hey, I'm going to get a car. I'm going to get my license back. I'm going to qualify for these runoffs. And here he is in GT3 doing a terrific job. Let's take a timeout from our live coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, the 54th edition from Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs is presented by Mazda. Driving matters.
Every stitch is a part of me. All these shapes and designs express our devotion to craftsmanship. I want people to feel our passion when they touch it and when they drive it.
The all-new Mazda CX-5. Can you feel something without touching it? See something with your eyes closed. When everything is designed around you, the driver, you can. The Mazda 3.
And we welcome you back live to our coverage here at SCCA.com, the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. He's Dorsey Schrader. I'm Rick Benjamin. Breakfast at Indy. What could be better on a Saturday morning? Watching GT3 action here. 19 laps is our distance for all of these main events. 40 minutes by time. If we get into a situation where we have a lengthy caution, I don't think we've seen one, Dorsey, that you and I have done so far. We haven't run into the time clock. We've been close, but not exactly on it. Colin Jackson in the 53, leading by a huge margin. The 71 here of Jeff Durnell in 2nd. The 41 car in 3rd, Stacy Wilson. Wolfgang Mikey in the 15 in 4th. Starting to close in here a little bit now as the race is worn on. And Doris, talk to me a little bit about your strategy. I mean, these are clearly sprint races, but the conditions can change enough that you can get going and make a run in the second half of one of these races.
You can. The other thing is that some of these, if we have more weather conditions, there's different compounds of tires available to these guys. And it's their choice. It's not dictated by a tire engineer. You can make a soft tire choice. And I would have thought this morning, as cool as it was, that would have been probably a good thing to do. Those soft tires, however, can blister. You can overrun these compounds that they have.
These are rear drive cars, so you're in a more traditional kind of race car look with these machines.
Yeah, they're real race cars underneath the body. They make them fit, not a template like in NASCAR, but there is a dimension that you have to stay within. You can't just go crazy. And they want them to look like what they are. They want a Mazda to be a Mazda. They want that Volvo to look like a Volvo, although the wing on the Volvo in 1960 was not invented yet.
That was not even optional equipment on
that
those
wasn't-
cars
no.
back in the day. But a good battle here in the 66 at the moment being shown in 12th spot. He is a lap down the 41. He'll move over and let that battle progress past him up onto the front straightaway. Durnell in the 71. He's got problems now because Stacy Wilson in the 41
Is
and
on
the
him.
15 of Mikey. They're all right there. This is second, third, and fourth in play in the last half of this race.
And I wonder about the tire issue we were just talking about. You know, if you get them too hot if they're soft compound. We don't have that knowledge. They don't tell us what they're running, but.
Well, and I would think your left front would be crucial here, too. You got a lot of right turns in this.
And you can see how easy it is to lock that up because of coming off that banking across the grain of the banking. So many flat spotted tires. We saw it yesterday, too. Quite a lot of it.
Pretty good gap back from these top four cars, or second, third, and fourth. Jackson has checked out in the 53. He has led all the way from pole. He's in that mode now with 8 to go of saying, okay, what am I hearing?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure, you know, we've got many of these teams employ spotters at a couple of places around the racetrack. Radio communication is very common here. They're probably telling Jackson, hey, you got a huge lead, back it down.
Yeah,
you don't need to be knocking off qualifying laps.
Plus, he was 3 seconds quicker than the second place car.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder if his car's not going to be a whale next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it could. You could end up buying yourself a nice weight penalty for the following season. That's certainly the case. But good-looking battle here. Second, third, and fourth in play. Durnell in the 71, Wilson in the 41, Mikey in the 15. They're pretty close together here on the racetrack.
Real close together. Definitely within the realm of changing those positions around. And with Jackson, like I say, nobody can catch him on speed, but what if he has a mechanical issue? He's got fastest race lap at a 42.6. There's nobody even close to that.
Exactly. Up onto the front straightaway. Durnell starting to pull away just a little bit from the third place car of Stacy Wilson here.
Actually, when you look at the proximity of all these cars, they're still all very much in a good group.
This is for 7th spot now. Mills in the 122, that Miata with the external roll cage, the open top car and the big wing on the back in front of the 69 of McGavick, the RX-7 machine.
Older body.
Yeah, older bodied car in both cases. And McGavick that's the car that had the smoke showing for a while.
Yeah, and that intrigues me as to what that was. Very strange, like I say, that it developed itself after several laps had been run. Usually if it's a tire rub, it's going to be there, right away.
Yeah.
Particularly at the beginning.
Here comes the 69 car. McGavick on the outside of Mills in the 122, trying to make an outside pass going into one.
Boy, he had a lot more top end. For sure he had straightaway speed.
In that shot, you could see the 04 of Jeff Barrow running in 6th position. So 6th, 7th, and 8th together. Meantime, here's the 15 of Mikey on the inside of Wilson now. This is for 3rd spot. This is for a podium position, and he makes the pass.
Yeah, it's not over with yet, but that was a good setup and a good clean pass down there to turn 7 on the backside.
Wolfgang Mikey in that Toyota Paseo bodied car, moving into a podium spot, and now he's right up on the back deck lid of Durnell in the 71.
Yeah, he's found speed all of a sudden for sure. Wolfgang, a longtime Toyota competitor. We've seen him in these cars for many years.
Out of Santa Barbara, California.
That's a long tow.
Yes, it is. Mikey in the 71, or rather Durnell in the 71 car from Roswell, Georgia, not exactly right down the road either.
No, exactly.
So, and again, these teams and drivers and families and competitors, it's a huge effort to get to these runoffs every year. And we love these competitors that have been doing it year after year after year and still searching for speed, still trying to find success here. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th up for grabs, putting lap number 13 on the board. 6 to go now. Durnell has the spot in the 71. He is your runner-up. Mikey right behind him and on the charge here in the late laps.
And Wilson now has recovered some of the speed that he lost. I don't know if he had a problem where Wolfgang got by, maybe he missed a gear on an upshift or something, but he's back in the game.
And we talked about rhythm and these small bore cars, these cars that don't make a lot of horsepower, these are quick around here in the 145 bracket, among the faster cars this weekend in terms of lap time. Boy, the rhythm in these infield sections is so important, Dorsey. To me, thinking back at my driving days, you make a mistake, boy, it can take you a couple of corners.
Well, that's it. These are very technical infield. The corners are long corners, and if you get messed up on the corner exit of one of these corners, it puts you off on the entry of the next instantly.
Yeah.
And you can't, like you say, you can't just recover your whole segment, that whole segment then goes away. You know, you lose maybe a tenth of a second with your initial mistake, but it turns into a half a second because of what it leads into.
And we've seen it, again, going back to our coverage here yesterday. This is the first race of Saturday, but you'll see it throughout the day here. Somebody will put a wheel off, trying to go quicker, trying to find a better line. You get up on the curbing in the wrong place, and it will do that.
Yeah.
It'll screw you up for a long time.
Like you know, the corners are such long corners that you have to make adjustments to the car somewhere in the middle of the series of the corner. And if you get it on the wrong end, it just puts you off for the next corner.
Durnell in the 71 taking a little bit higher line coming off that corner. Now, briefly at that section, you're up on the short chute here at Indy between oval turns 1 and 2. Then you duck back to the infield. Last couple of corners before the front straightaway here.
Jeff got a little slide out of the Mazda that last time. It looked like he had kind of an abrupt movement on the steering wheel.
Up onto the front stretch, the 71 of Durnell putting lap 14 on the board. 4 to go for this group. Second, third, and fourth here in
GT3. That's a great battle for second.
It is, yeah. Colin Jackson, meantime, in the 53, he's on a Saturday morning stroll at
He's
the
in
moment.
another county, actually.
Yeah.
He's so far out.
44 seconds to the good is Jackson.
That's amazing. This will be the largest margin of victory probably throughout the entire weekend.
Yeah.
You just don't see that often at the runoffs.
We saw Andrew Aquilante put a whipping on the field a couple of times yesterday. Won 2 championships on opening day for the Phoenix Performance guys out of Pennsylvania.
He had like a 17-second lead at one point, which looked huge, but 44 seconds.
Yeah. That, again, consider in this class where pole time by Jackson was about 1:45. That's almost half a lap here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that guy with the yellow, he could be looking at catching the field.
Yeah. But these 3, second, third, and fourth, very much in play in the final handful of laps here today. GT3 National Championship up for grabs here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Durnell in the 71, Mikey in the 15, Wilson in the 41. And you've got a Mazda, a Toyota, and another Mazda here, second, third, and fourth.
You know, yesterday, you and I were calling a lot of the showroom stock type classes, and although these look similar, these cars are really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is not cheap budget racing.
No.
You're looking at, you know, the engines alone on these cars are going to be in the $16,000 to $20,000 range.
Yeah, you've got, you know, Race Prep Shop, Joe Christensen, who was running second before a wheel bearing knocked him out several laps ago. That's an engine shop in Canada. I mean, and they prepare the engines for that car. And, of course, Jeff Barrow's machine, the 04, running 6th right now.
The custom-built engines. You know, you got open camshafts, open compression. You know, so these guys are building some serious horsepower out of a small displacement engine.
No change among this group. Second, third, and fourth, Durnell, Mikey, and Wilson. If you're the 15 car, if you're Mikey, you're third right now. You're thinking probably, okay, I've got a podium spot. Do I defend third, or do I try in these last couple of laps to get up and make a run at second?
And in Wolfgang's case, you know, he's not a young man. There's a lot of guys of older age like myself.
Yeah.
That.
Here we go. The 41 on the inside. That's Wilson. Trying to take third back.
Close proximity right there. They both gave each other room.
Mikey on the outside. He's opened the door here for Stacy Wilson. Wilson up alongside, trying to drive around the 15. He's done it.
That's an outside pass you don't see very often.
Wow. Stacy Wilson in that Mazda. Impressive run to get back to third here. All of this for Jeff Durnell. He's saying, hey, that's great. I'll watch that one in my mirror, boys.
Jeff likes that. He goes, go, boy, get him, get him. And he sneaks away.
So Stacy Wilson in the 41 car. Now, again, we saw this a little bit yesterday when you and I talked about it on our coverage. Is this a case of cooling your tires, saying, okay, I'll let you have third now. I want to be ready for the last couple of laps.
I mean, they very well could. They could feel the tires starting to get hot and then back down for a couple of laps and get ready to regroup and do it again. Certainly Stacy, when he decided he was gonna make that move, he wasn't giving up on it. He tried an inside, he tried an outside. And Wolfgang, gentlemen, let it happen. You know, he gave him the room.
No, he did not try to chop down on the 41 and close the door at all.
Long-time competitor, like I said. These guys have raced each other many times.
They know what it takes, and they know how to get the job done here. All right, one other question I want to ask, and I'm sure our viewers are thinking along these lines here. You've got a place here at Indy. You've got this long front straightaway, longer even than Road America, 3,700 feet. Got a pretty lengthy backstretch here as well. A lot of these cars carry wings. It's allowed in these rules. Do you set up for downforce? Do you angle that wing, or do you trim it out because you don't want drag on them?
You know, the 2 straightaways are pretty good length, and you come onto them at pretty high speed, so the drag's not going to be as big a factor as it would be. The infield, on the other hand, has such a low amount of grip and it's so lengthy that you have to address it. I think you really have to be good on that infield also. But you look at wing angles that they're running, nobody's running very much.
No, they look pretty flat. That was kind of what I was thinking myself. I was thinking, okay, you're probably, especially in these classes where you don't have a huge amount of horsepower with a four-cylinder motor, maybe you're thinking, hey, I want this car as clean as I can possibly make it aerodynamically.
Well, you were talking about saving tires, and Wilson, when he made that run at Wolfgang a minute ago, he just turned a lap time that's even faster than Durnell. He's reeling in Durnell, and he's getting him by over a half-second a lap.
Wilson may be on a charge here for second spot, and you never know. You know, I don't want to jinx Colin Jackson, who's turned in a terrific run here today to build that lead to 45-plus seconds now. But if you're challenging for second, you're thinking, hey, something can happen. I could end up winning this thing.
Absolutely, you are. You can't even see that lead car. So I mean, he's a carrot way out there. You don't know.
You're not going to catch him, certainly.
No, it's going to be mechanical if you beat him. There's no doubt about it. But this is great run for second. Jeff Durnell now has got to be aware of the fact that Wilson has turned up the wick.
And he just slid badly coming out of that corner.
He did last lap too. I saw a big slide off the back end, and like I was talking about how fast his hands were, he was catching the car.
These are not high torque race cars. So
no, they're momentum cars for the most part because they are small displacement. They don't make a lot of torque. They make a lot of RPM and a lot of power, but you got to keep the wheels rolling.
So like we said yesterday, keeping the car straight is important in these cars.
Yeah, you don't want to be, and the tires could be going off on Jeff Durnell's car because I've seen that slide that you picked up on for the last couple laps now. And we got 2 laps to go, so we're really at the end of the tire life.
Durnell in second, Jackson long gone. His lead now 52 seconds over the 71 car of Durnell, your second place machine. But Stacy Wilson in that 41 doing a terrific job to get back to third, getting around Wolfgang Mikey a couple of laps ago and starting to close in, it looked like, on the 71. I think Durnell might have looked in the mirror and said, I better get going.
Yeah, I was thinking the very same thing. I said, Jeff is awake now.
Yeah.
You can tell it.
A little further back, some of the other battles for position here. Mikey in fourth, Warkaki in fifth, as we watch Jackson in the 51 come up onto the banking. You'll see the white flag here in just a second. White flag waving over that blue machine of Colin Jackson, your race leader.
That's the problem with getting that far out in the lead is you don't get any airtime.
Yeah.
He's just boringly way out there by himself. On the other hand, if you go slow enough, you can look like you're leading.
There you go. Fight for second. Last couple of corners here. These cars will see the white flag in just a moment as well. A lot of fun to be here. There you see some, talk about debris. It looked like there was maybe some kitty litter or something on the middle of the track there, yeah.
It's funny, these guys don't tuck up underneath each other up the straightaway very much. I don't know if that's because the cars just are not compatible on where they get their speed on the straightaway, but they're very good in the infield.
Yeah. Looking at that, that's another section of racetrack there where there seems to be something down on the track.
Almost looks like hay.
Well, I was wondering if it was leaves. I mean, it is starting to be fall here, and leaves are coming off trees, and there are a lot of trees around this place because there's a golf course in the middle of the infield here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. White flag in the air for the battle for second. Durnell in the 71, Wilson in the 41, and Stacy Wilson's drive to try to take second away from Jeff Durnell may not pay off here in the last half lap or so.
Had a little brake issue right there. Stacy did getting down into turn 1. All of a sudden I saw a release of pressure without lockup. So I don't know if his foot might have slipped on the pedal or whatever the case might be. Looked a little different though.
Jeff Durnell in the 71's turned in a terrific drive in that Mazda RX-7. He slid that car around a few times. Jackson in the 53 all by himself in that Nissan 240 SX from Specialty Engineering.
And a huge speed advantage on the field here. So for whatever reason, he has got this place wired for sure.
Colin Jackson about to earn a national championship in GT3 to kick off things on Saturday, day 2 of these SCCA National Championship runoffs. Jackson, your winner. Remaining cars behind him a lap down or more, so they will continue to finish their race here in GT3. But Colin Jackson closes the deal out of Langley, British Columbia. Talk about the long tow award. I think he's got it.
That's a long way, all right. Jeff Durnell and Wilson, though, who's going to get second place?
We'll see here in just a second. Coming out of the final corner, Durnell in the 71 got the whip back out. Coming into the short couple of S's here to dump him onto the front straightaway. Stacy Wilson in the 41. Looks like he'll have to settle for third in GT3 at these national championship runoffs. But a good battle for position here, certainly. Wilson out of Englewood, Tennessee in that Mazda RX-7.
Wolfgang Mikey dropped way back for whatever reason. Once Wilson got by, he just faded.
Yeah. Durnell in the 71 out of Roswell, Georgia, will come home in second spot and take your silver medal honors here in GT3. And third to Wilson in the 41. And Jeff Barrow in the 04 does not see the checkered flag.
On the last lap.
Oh, Jeff Barrow was running in sixth position. He will give up several spots here. We're hearing he may well have gotten across the line. He's being scored in sixth, but not shown with lap 19 on the board. So we're not sure. We believe that the top four are the only cars to finish on the lead lap before the checkered flag comes out.
He might have gotten lapped, which would have made him complete his race, and you never know. He could have been having some sort of mechanical issue where he thought, I got to stop this pretty quick.
Yeah. So it looks as though your top five will be the top three that we gave you. Here comes Jackson on his cool-down lap. Mikey in fourth, Warkaki in fifth in the 78, and then Barrow being shuffled back. Yeah, Mills in the 122 completes all 19 laps, and he will be scored sixth. And it looks like Jeff Barrow will get credit for seventh in the 04, with being one lap down. Nelson in the 91, Ash in the 21, and Stevenson in the 7. Looks like the rest of your top 10 all one lap down to race winner Colin Jackson in the 53 cars.
These cars, as an owner, driver, are neat cars to work on. They're fun to work. If you like that kind of thing, you know, this is one of the elements that I love is, you know, having a car like that that's sophisticated enough, but they're easy to work on, they're fun to work on, and you get to put your hands in everything. You know, you can get to you can change gear ratios, you can do the rear gear, you can do engine work, you know, it's all available.
And they're fairly easy to work on, being tube-frame cars.
Yeah, you know, and that's the other good thing about them. Tube-frame car, you can't really kill it. You know, you can just keep cutting it up and put new pieces on it.
New front clips galore. That's possible to do. All right, here's Jackson in the 53, your winner of GT3 to kick off day number 2 of the 2017 SCCA National Championship runoffs. Colin Jackson peeling the gloves off all the way from Langley, British Columbia, Canada. Got to believe that's the Long Tow Award winner of the weekend. If you're going to make that much effort to get here from British Columbia, you certainly want to show well, and he has done that here this weekend.
Yeah, make no mistake about
it.
He smoked this field both in qualifying and in the race. And you don't see that at the runoffs, and you don't see it in this class either that very often.
No, you do not. Running in the Oregon region. And Colin Jackson taking the helmet off, and Haywood Wagner about to interview our winner of GT3 here this morning.
Looks pretty happy.
He sure does. He sure does.
And should.
So let's hear from our winner, Haywood Wagner.
Colin Jackson, this makes a perfect 4 for 4 for you at the runoffs. A great drive. This is a pretty good Saturday morning, isn't it?
That's a really good Saturday morning when you wake up at Indy and you get to go to Victory Circle. That's just fantastic. So this one's dedicated to my friend Jack Back. Great guy, great crewman. He couldn't be with us. Special engineering, built the car, fantastic. B&M Screening Solution made it so I could be here, and I appreciate all the guys at Goodyear and all the guys that have sponsored me throughout the years here. I appreciate it very much. So 4 for 4 doesn't get any better than that.
The guys in the booth are giving you the long haul award, making it all the way out here to Indy. How many hours drive is it going to be for you to get back?
Didn't count the hours, but it took us 4.5 days to get here. So another big kudos to my wife for putting up with that. So.
And you're going to grin all the way back, aren't you?
Absolutely. I grinned all the way here.
Good man.
Colin Jackson, your winner, wire to wire after earning the pole. And he just whipped him here in GT3 this morning. Ends up with a 52-second margin of victory over Jeff Durnell in the 71, who comes home second. Colin just did a terrific job start to finish this week.
That should set a record, too. 52 seconds. That's not too far from lapping the field. He was sneaking up on it, like I said before.
Durnell in second spot, Stacy Wilson third, then Wolfgang Mackey in fourth. Rob Warkaki takes home fifth. John Mills gets credit for sixth. The lap down, Jeff Barrow in seventh with a mechanical issue at the end there, it appears. Nelson in eighth in the 91, Ash in the 21, and Roy Stevenson in the 7 car, rounding out your top 10 in GT3 to kick things off here on Saturday morning. Coming up, race number 10 for us will be a double dip. We'll have two classes in action, Formula Mazda and Formula C. We'll do battle together coming up for us here in just a short order. It'll be race number 2 of our day on Saturday. Got a lot of action for you coming your way today, so keep it right here at SCCA.com, and we will keep you up to date on what is going on at these runoffs all weekend long. Let's get back downstairs, talk to our runner-up here in GT3.
Jeff Darnell, in front of you kind of seemed to disappear a little bit, but there was plenty behind you to keep it entertaining, wasn't there?
Absolutely. Those boys behind me kept me honest and kept me digging. Had nothing for the 2 boys in front, but we did our best, and it was an awesome race. And wanted to thank SCCA for bringing this to Indy. What an epic place to come out here and experience a little bit of what the real boys do. So overall, you know, we've had a great week. We haven't had to really bust our butt, and I'm thrilled. Robinson Racing, Barry Trevette, crew chief, just did a phenomenal job. Gordon Zadie just broke his heart to get here and support me. And my wife has put up with so much I can't even tell you. So I just want to really thank Lucky's Burger down there in Roswell, Georgia, for helping me out as well. And Hoosier, obviously, phenomenal tires.
Well, congratulations to you here for a silver medal at the SCCA Runoffs.
Thank you so much.
Jeff Darnell with a really nice job in that RX-7. We talked about how he seemed to be sliding. We were concerned a little bit that maybe he was using up his tires, but he said those Hoosiers were great.
Yeah, and he worked for it. I mean, he never had it easy the entire race. Somebody was always at his door, you know, trying to break down and come through. Yeah. So I think he ran a really good, smart race. He you know, he slowed up when he needed to slow up, and when it was time to go, he still had it left to do it.
No doubt about that. So Colin Jackson all the way from British Columbia, 4.5 days to get here. My guess is that they'll be loading up and starting their trip back here fairly shortly after the podium ceremony, but great job indeed. All right, let's talk to our third place finisher. Back downstairs to Hayward.
Stacey, you had a good scrap for the 3rd spot. Last couple of years, you've kind of proven yourself to be the guy that's there at the end, but not quite enough to get to the 2nd spot this year.
I know it was tough. Car wasn't exactly like I wanted it, but we just drove it for all we had. And I want to thank David at Mazda and Bruce at Hoosier, Darrell Drummond, everybody that has anything to do that's helped us through the years, my family, my wife, my kids, my dad, Craig Bauer. So I want to thank everybody that's involved. That's A.J. Masnicki, everybody that's Jody at Napa Auto Parts of Athens. Thank you all very much.
Well, congratulations here on a bronze medal.
Thank you.
All right, your top 3, Jackson, Darnell, and Wilson. We've heard from all 3 of those players. So as Colin Jackson, I should say, continues to take his victory lap here around Indianapolis Motor Speedway's 2.6-mile circuit with 14 turns, and he was the dominator here today in GT3, no doubt about that. So fun way to start our weekend's worth of coverage here on Saturday, day number 2. A lot of action. Wolfgang Mikey and the 41 of Wilson, they had a good tussle for 3rd. Mikey took it. Wilson got it back late in the race and was able to close the deal and get to the podium. But this one was dominated by that blue 53 car of Colin Jackson from British Columbia, Canada, your winner of GT3 today here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. For Dorsey Schrader, Haywood Wagner, I'm Rick Benjamin. Thanks for joining us for our live coverage here at SCCA.com. We'll take a brief time out. We'll come right back with Formula Car action, Formula C, Formula Mazda, coming your way in just a few short moments.
Coverage of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs is presented by Mazda. Driving matters.
Every stitch is a part of me. All these shapes and designs express our devotion to craftsmanship. I want people to feel our passion when they touch it and when they drive it.
The all-new Mazda CX-5. Can you feel something without touching it? See something with your eyes closed. When everything is designed around you, the driver, you can. The Mazda 3.